Hi, welcome to the second video of this is Cape Computer Science Unit 2, right? So what we did last time, we looked at the problem definition from the previous problem, and we took that problem and we dissected it a little bit and we added some more stuff to make it seem a little more robust, and look at the problem definition from a software engineering perspective. And that's basically what Unit is about. Unit is about software engineering. It shows you how to take existing software and make it better. So table of contents, all that stuff, we set that up and we did a proper problem definition. So now today in this video, we're going to try to do the techniques of analysis. And according to the syllabus, the techniques of analysis want you to analyze the problem, collect some data about it, and make a decision about what you are going to actually fix. This is very reminiscent of ITIA, because IT Unit 1 and Unit 2, you have to do analysis, and you take the analysis from like graphs or questionnaires or whatnot. Well, questionnaires are data graphs or interviews or whatnot, right? But it's very weird that in IT, for those of you all that do IT at Cape level, that you get 3 marks for your analysis, and in ComSci you get 5 marks for your analysis. But the amount of work that you have to do in IT is way more than the amount of work that you have to do in ComSci for your analysis. So according to the syllabus, they just want you to show appropriate techniques chosen and explain why you used it. So I'm going to show you how to lay it out, basically to say the right things, because you are showing that you know how to analyze a problem according to how software development works. So software development starts off by you defining the problem, and then you have to do like a feasibility analysis, feasibility study of it. And in the feasibility study or analysis, you have to ask questions, you have to get more data about the problem so that you'll know what you're actually going to try to solve. So our technique of analysis will start off by us saying, explain why the chosen technique was used as it relates to the organization and should not regurgitate advantages of the technique in order to gain marks, right? So you're not trying to say questionnaires are good for this and questionnaires are good for that. No, you have to say that you chose a questionnaire to use in this specific scenario because it will blah, 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 right? So you have to be able to show it. So here are the techniques that they're available to be used. You have available to you a questionnaire. I recommend about 10 questions that are specific to the problem and what they are facing, and you can find out like what the client wants in a new and upgraded system. You could do an interview, which will be like about 5 questions that will probe into the problem and ask what they'd like to be fixed. Observations and review of documents. Now these are all the usual analysis techniques. There are other types of analysis techniques like focus groups and all sorts of other stuff. But these are usually 4 that they ask for across IT and computer science. And when you go through the software engineering syllabus, they have questionnaires, interviews, observation, and review of documents listed in the syllabus as the as part of the analysis phase, right? So we're just trying to do a proper analysis phase that will show that we analyze the problem. So if we do questionnaires, we will want to put some graphs. If we do interviews, we want to give some responses, right? To show that there are deficiencies in the system. Now here is the controversial part. This is extremely, extremely controversial, and I have not found a direct answer for it yet because most teachers that I ever speak to or encounter on either side. If your IA is a problem that is in a real situation, like a real store, a real hospital, a real shop, a real whatever, then you have to do a real questionnaire and give it to real people, and they give you real answers and you do real analysis. But there are some children who do IAs in Unit 1 that are totally fabricated, totally made up places, totally things that you will never be able to do. So let's say, for example, the syllabus asks you to do a process schedule, right? So let me show you an example. Right, so this is the syllabus here. Look at where the problem comes in. Right, so they're expected to choose this problem for where a software solution exists and then develop the software using software engineering techniques. In particular, candidates are expected to demonstrate appropriate choice of the tools and techniques used in the analysis of software to be developed. They're expected to design, code, and test their software in using the appropriate techniques. But here's where the problem comes in. The following examples are kinds of projects that students can develop for the school-based assessment. Simple process scheduler for an operating system. Now, this is cool. You could write code to create a process scheduler for an operating system and implement probably like a stack or a queue or whatnot, and that would work. But when it comes to the analysis stage of this IA, who are you going to ask questions? Who are you going to ask questions about the problem? Because you can't go and ask Microsoft about their process scheduler. You can't go and ask Linux or Ubuntu or Mac or iOS about, okay, how do you schedule your processes? Oh, can we look at your code? Or some kind of thing like that. You won't be able to analyze that in a real state or a real sense. So how do you now rationalize the ability to choose a place where a software solution already exists? Look at the next one, a vehicle parking system to allocate spaces to vehicles in a parking lot. You're not going to find our software anywhere to do analysis on it. Are you going to like go online and find one and show that it's not working properly? Who are you going to interview? Are you going to send an email to the company to ask them how their software works and make them look like their software looks bad? That'll be tough. Manage music collection. Now, the collection one, you might have a chance because collections of stuff could be like libraries, could be like book rentals, could be like school feeding, it could be a cafeteria. Those are things that you could literally go and ask questions about because those are real projects. So a lot of times students have issues with respect to, can I fabricate my IA or not? Meaning, can I create a fake place to do things? But if I create a fake place to do things, that means I'm going to have to obviously create fake questionnaires. And that fake questionnaire is going to be allow me to doctor the data in what direction I want to show the problem. Whether or not CXE checks for those marks, I can't tell you 100%. But based on what I know from examiners, they just look at it and check to see if you use the correct analysis tools and if you draw the correct conclusions. Whether the data is real or fake, I don't think they could ascertain that. And if they could ascertain it, I don't believe that they could take away marks for it because, well, the syllabus doesn't tell you that you have to use a real life place. Just like in IT, it tells you that you need to use a real life place. So the fabrication thing, I'm not going to get deep into it. In this case here, this is a hospital. This is a place that you may be able to go and get the actual information from. But more than likely, in my personal view, if a student had this hospital IA and they wanted to go to the hospital to get information, I'd tell them, go ahead and try. But if the hospital can't give you the information, you already had the IA from Unit 1, we're going to have to make up some questions and questionnaires and make up some of the answers because it's very unclear. And I would love if CXE clears it up, but I can't do anything about that, right? So we just have to do it to the best of our ability and show the skills that are needed, not focus on the data that we're getting it from because you'll hurt yourself when you process it if you keep trying to think about that, right? So let's go. We will start off by saying, for this hospital, I'm going to show you how to do questionnaires and interviews because those are pretty straightforward, right? So we start off by saying the techniques of analysis. Now, according to the syllabus, it says sound relevant techniques used. So techniques is in plural. Because techniques is in plural, that means you should use at least 2. And because it's 5 marks, it's cool. So you'll get 1 to 2 marks every technique. So partially sound and relevance was limited, mostly sound, and then sound and relevant. So I'm going to use 2 because that way you stand a better chance of getting 5 marks. If you could use 3, that'll be even better, and you can explain why. So you'll start off by saying for this. Right here. They also give a wide range of data that helps pinpoint the actual problem. That give discrete data. Discrete meaning that it is clear, either 1 or 0, black or white, yes or no, that it gives discrete data. Close-ended answers that give discrete data, making it easy to analyze and come up with conclusions. Alright, you could probably say a little more about questionnaires. You could probably do a little research on what questionnaires are good for and add up a little bit, but that basically encapsulates why you use questionnaires, right? Interviews. A 5-question interview. Right. So I am going to use that as my reasoning for it. Now, in the syllabus, they say that they want you to say sound and relevant techniques used. How do we know that? How do you know that we know that the techniques used are sound? We explain it to them. So we clearly say, here's why I use this. I know what I'm doing. I know why it's sound. I know why it's useful or whatnot. And then we're going to show them the questionnaires that we have. So questionnaire questions. So that's part of a section called questionnaire questions, and then we're going to list them out for them. Question 1, whatever it is, question 2, question 3. So we'll probably fast forward through this a little bit so that you see. So question 1, because it's a hospital and my problem is showing that that they have issues with the software system. So what you want to do is you want to go into the problem definition now and see what are the problems that they face and try to ask more questions about the problem that they face. So in this example here, one of the problems that they're facing is that the system could update the records, but they don't have the ability to remove a patient when they are discharged or deceased. So we want to ask them, which feature is missing, is most important Yeah, so this one could be a question and ask them to make a choice. So we ask them to make a choice and say what is an important feature that's currently missing from the system, removal of patient, printing patient records, putting in a password, and probably... So right off the bat here, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a new feature set, because in the end, you're going to try to come up with the feature set that will feed your functional requirements one time. Now, your analysis is going to go straight into the data flow diagram. So whatever you know about the problem, the analysis is going to teach you what is the issue, and the data flow diagram will essentially show what the system currently does, right? So you want to get data that will feed into your data flow diagram, that will feed into your ERD diagram, and you'll probably ask like, okay, who is responsible for updating the data in the system? You'll be like a nurse, you'll be like an admin assistant. Then you'll probably put like a doctor. So they say updating, so for inputting data into the system. Right, then you'll probably ask a question about who is responsible for making changes to the data in the system. And you'll probably ask something like, same thing, nurse, admin assistant, doctor. So we're trying to show that we want to get a gauge of how does this system actually work. Now, it'll be easier to do this in an interview, but if we get a questionnaire out and we get like 90% of the questionnaire says that admin assistants update the information, but we also see that nurses could update the information, that will help us to understand how to put the user interface, because we could say, hi admin assistant, or hi nurse, or whatnot, right? Are you a nurse or admin assistant, right? Those are things that you might want to be able to do in the end when you make changes to the program. Responsible for making, right? Then you would ask, then you could probably go back to your problem definition. You understand the concept. You're checking your problem definition and you're trying to see, okay, what are the things that they currently do? So they have complaints about the search not being fast enough. So let's try to put in a question on a scale of 1 to 10. How fast do you think the search is? On a scale of 1 to 10, how fast do you think the search feature is? All right, so you probably say something like that. That will help you sort of go through, okay, how fast? And then you'll probably get them 1 dot, and you have all the 10 options, right? 1 to 10. They also wanted to search, how often do you find a deceased person in the system? And then you would put never, often, never, rarely, sometimes, often, very often, right? That shows, this one will show that the data is, the information is not being updated properly, which is clearly going to carry down a line of a particular feature set, which is, if the data is not being updated properly, then you should put a feature in place and make sure the data is updated all the time, right? Good. How often do you find a deceased person? And then, based on the problem definition, it's not fast enough because there are too many patients to search for. Okay. How many patients get added? How many patients there? How many patients? Notice all the questions are close-ended. Get added to the system over time, in every quarter, on average. And you probably give them like, something like 100, 200 to 400, and then 400 plus, right? That way, you will now see that there was a problem that they said that the searches are going slow. Now, if the searches are going slow, that means it could be that the size of the database is getting too high, so you need to implement a more efficient search. And you could see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to lead the questions down a particular way to find out, okay, do we need to change the way that they search? Do we need to change the way that they enter information? Do we need to change the way that they see the software? Because you are doing software engineering, so you're trying to make the software better. And your questions should find out deficiencies in the software engineering. But remember, you are the software engineer, so you should be smarter in finding out the actual questions that they want that they need to answer, but they don't know that they need to answer it, right? So let's see what's another problem. Another problem is reports, right? The system doesn't produce reports. The system doesn't search fast enough, especially doctors. They also can't get reports about all the other patients, only the critical ones, which should not be. So, how often do doctors request other reports? And then you hit them the same, never, rarely, sometimes, often, very often. You put that there. And then you go and you say, okay, in order, which report would be most important? No, which report is requested by doctors, is requested by doctors the most? And then you'll be like, well, warded, what they have? They have one for warded. Stable, warded, and critical, right? Okay, so stable, warded, and critical. Stable, warded, and critical. Right, so we have those three. Those three would sort of show you, okay, which one is the doctor's ask for the most. That will kind of clearly guide you into which report you should try to get the system to do. And of course, you could do all three of them if you want, right? Which is requested by doctors the most, right? And then number 9, are there any other reports that the hospital staff may need to use. Are they? Yeah. And you give them a yes/no, right? Because you want to vary the questions that you ask in a questionnaire to all those things. And then you could ask probably one open-ended question that allows them to write one word. If there were a report to be added, what should it be? And then you give them like a space to write. Right, so they'll probably write one word, but that gives you a chance to get them to say something breaks the monotony of the questionnaire. But technically, the questionnaire should be very discreet, so I just ask them to write one word, because if you don't do that, well, they'll write a whole set of words and they'll write a paragraph. So if you create a questionnaire for this will be perfect. You'll be able to get some data. Some of the questions that we'll definitely try to pull graphs from would be try to pull a questionnaire for, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fast do you think the search feature is, because we want to see if we need to make the search feature faster. If they say a question about what is the most important feature that's currently missing from the system, they will probably check that. You probably want to pull out the one where they say which report is requested by doctors the most stable, warded, or critical, and yeah, and then probably the last one. Now, once you pull out those graphs, you'll be able to show that these are the new features that you're going to try to add to the system, which will basically be a functional requirements. But this here will also feed your data flow diagram for you to understand what are the things that the system currently does, because you can clearly see that the doctors could request certain reports and they could get the information inside, right? So that would be questionnaire questions. 10 of those should be okay. I don't think you need 10. You probably just need some very good targeted ones, but I would say 10 would save you a lot of problems because you have a wider range. But if you have a wider range, you would be you'll be better off if the examiner who's marking the eye looks through it and checks to see if it's a wide range. Because remember, the question says sound and relevant techniques used. So it must be sound, meaning you must know how to use the questionnaire properly, right? How to wield the sword of the questionnaire. So now we go interviews, and you'll want to say now for interviews, you'll put 5 interview questions, right? 5 interview questions are pretty easy to do because you're taking some of the questionnaire questions and you're going a lot deeper. So you'll probably say, what's one of the problems that they have in anything? Current system can update records, however, they don't have the ability to remove a patient. Okay. You want to say, why is removing a patient a priority for the system? And then you probably want to give a update question, be like, based on what they ask, how has it affected the system in the past? What's another update question? What has the staff done to work around it, right? The interviews could be a lot more targeted because you get actual answers from them. So you want to try to make sure the interview questions are very, very pinpoint and they're very, not hard hitting, but they're very focused on what your issues are. So it doesn't have to be 5, but 3 questions should be good, like 3 major things. Searching, so you want to ask questions about the searches. When you search the system, is the search speed satisfactory? And then you probably ask, what is the negative impact of the search speed on your daily job? All right? Basically showing why the search needs to get better, because we are clearly trying to add a function for removing a patient. We're clearly trying to change the search feature, and we're clearly trying to see this paragraph in the middle here where we have all the problems. That's basically what we're trying to turn into our new functional requirements. All right, next one we're going to talk about is the reports. How is the reporting process? So these are the questions, and now, for your viewing pleasure, I am going to magically distribute these questionnaires and give out these questionnaires to the hospital and get back some answers for you, so you can see that I took 3 months of my life to go and get these questions. All right, so we finished. Fast forward to we sent out our questionnaire. Yay, the questionnaire went out. So now I can do the questionnaire analysis. So the questionnaire analysis is basically going to be me taking a graph, and I'm going to take the graph and paste it in. When I paste the graph in, I'm going to show that the questionnaire is on a scale of 1 to 10 how fast do you think the search feature is. Then I'm going to say at the end of this graph, based on the information in the graph, the staff is clearly not happy with the speed of the searches, because all of the answers show 5 out of 10. 50% satisfaction or less. 50% satisfaction or less. Right? That is very sound analysis. How did I get those responses? It was magic. You didn't see anything, right? So make it clearly see that I have 6 responses on here. You probably want to get more responses than that, but depending on your situation, you probably might be able to get more responses from a real place, like a cafeteria or whatnot. So just jump in between, go to your graph. So in my questionnaire, I only put 3 questions, right? I didn't put all 10 because we don't have time for that. But of course, you will put all 10 and you will get your answers and you get a response, and let your teacher decide which ones go in your actual IA. But I think three targeted graphs should be good enough to get you the marks that you need. Because it's 5 marks I'm looking for, and we don't want to, go overboard and put a graph for every question. If you put a graph for every question, I promise you, once the graph is targeted, the marker can't not give you the marks. But You want to make sure that you're very efficient in the things that you choose, because you want to show that you're not just throwing data out there, but you are calculating the data that you put in. How often do you request other reports? This graph, this pie chart clearly shows that the doctors request different reports since 50%. Do it often, and 33%, 0.3%, very often. Right, and then we'll take the last one. All right, hopefully Google gives you a mixture of pi and bar. If they don't give you a mixture of pi and bar, then you could take the data from the sheets and go and create your own chart. But usually when you put a scale, you'll get that. Usually when you do the how often, really never, sometimes often, you will get the pi. And then if you ask, if there's a report that they should choose. This is the open-ended question, and you can see that the open-ended question was fairly straightforward. They all said the same thing, right? So I am letting you know that this analysis is serving twofold. It's going to help you build your data flow diagram and build your ERD diagram, but it's also going to help you build out the functional requirements and non-functional requirements that you need for this particular solution to work. So this open-ended question showed that they clearly want 2 new reports, stable and critical, to be added to the system. Good. That feeds our functional requirements, and the examiner will not have any reason to tell you that that is not sound and relevant. Now let's see how the questionnaire can become sound and relevant. Now the questionnaire, the interview answers. So we're going to go to interviews. So I have questionnaire analysis. I should put the question analysis as a heading 1. No, heading 2. Yeah, put it as a heading 2 because the questionnaire should be heading techniques of analysis. Yeah, I'll put questionnaire questions as heading 2. That way, in the table of contents, you will clearly be able to see the questionnaire questions. Then you'll be able to see the interview questions, which will be heading 2. Yeah, heading 2. And then question analysis. And then we go to interview analysis. Okay, so from the interview analysis, I want to show some of the answers. So I'll send out the interviews, and I'm not 100% sure if you need to show proof of the answers, because if you show proof of the answers, that means they probably sent a WhatsApp message or you asked the person the interview live, right? So I will say based on the interviews answers, there were some trends in the answers given. Right, so if you did it via some sort of social media app, you could show print screens, but if you don't show print screens, well, they will have to believe that you did the interview and you got transcripts and you have the answer. I doubt you need to take a picture of the notepad where you took the answers, and there's no way you could put in a recording of whatever they said. So, was removing a patient a priority? We will see that out of the 10 people interviewed, question 1. Now remember, depending on the type of IA that you're doing, your interview questions will be different. This one is a database type IA. if your IA is a calculations-based IA, you probably want to do some different work and some different questions about billing, calculation, wrong numbers, that sort of things will be basically the usage, right? Now say question two, right? Based on the 10 people interviewed, they had mixed reviews, mixed answers to the questions. However, they all seemed to point to the fact that, what was the second question? The search speed, yeah. That if the search speed got better, it would benefit everyone. So therefore, we have some sort of conclusion that we should upgrade the search speed because we targeting that, right? And then reporting process, question 3, there were many detailed answers that listed many reports that can be used in the system. The most major ones, however, would be a worded report and what's the next one, man? Worded and, where did I have it? Stable report. Worded and stable report. A worded and a stable report. Yeah. Cool. 95 marks there, you know. That's it there. Once you have that, you give your question, you give a preamble about the questionnaire that you're going to try to use, the interviews that you're going to try to use, show the questionnaire questions, show the different things that you're going to ask, show the interview questions, the different things that you're going to ask. The analysis of it will be the graphs that you get from Google Forms. You show those, and then you show the interview analysis of what you actually got. If you do have print screens of it, put them in. If you don't put them in, right? And then when we go back to the syllabus, we realize for techniques of analysis used, they can't give you anything wrong. 5 marks there, definitely. 5 marks worth of content there for sure. Even if you break it down 3-2, or you break it down 2-2, and check to see if they explain it properly for 1 mark. However they mark the rubric down, that's basically what they're looking for. Now, if you did observation and review of documents, you would show that while you were observing the hospital system, you saw XYZ, and you put in a little table. If you want, you can go and check the ITIA that I did, the walkthrough for the ITIA, and you'll see our observation table or checklist looks like. You'll probably want to copy that. And if you want to do review of documents, you can check the ITIA also, because the ITIA does it a lot more in-depth. But for ComSci, they don't want it that in-depth, I believe. They just want you to show how you do it. They want to show that you understand how it's done in a software engineering perspective. In IT, it's more of a broad problem solving perspective. So if you want observation and review of documents, check the ITIA walkthrough for Unit 1. I think it should be about the second or third video inside our series. You can check it inside the app. The Learn It app has all of these things, and the Learn It app should have a PDF of this inside when it's finished. Yeah, by the time you watch this video, the Learn It app will have this PDF that I'm currently working on, right? This document that I'm currently working on right now, it will be there in PDF form. So look out for that. All right, so that's the end of this video. Next video, we're going to tackle the data flow diagrams. We're going to tackle the data flow diagrams, the context level, and then the level 1, and then the ERD diagram. And I'll show you how to create those diagrams. What software that you could use as free on the internet. Yep, there are many free softwares, but we'll talk about that. And then after that, Maybe in the same video, I'll hit the functional and non-functional requirements one time, or I may not, depending. Yeah, we might do all of this one time in the next video. So we'll see how that goes. So that's it for this video. Remember, don't forget to download the Learn It app. Learn It app has all of these videos in order, in sequence that you could follow, and the PDF resource for it should be inside there also that you'll be able to follow on your own. And if you're watching it on YouTube, that's cool. The YouTube algorithm will do its best to show you the best video, but sometimes you might use the YouTube algorithm and you might see a comp-sci video, then you might see an IT video, and then you might see, because they choose based on the most popular videos, but the ones that you want to see, the app might show you it better, right? So check that out. I'll see you all in the next video as we try to hammer out this comp-sci unit 2IA, right? So see you next time.